everyone, it's Sabrina from the Combe family, and today we are going to talk about our journey from Kenya to America and how there was scares before we started this journey that we could possibly be arrested. So that was a huge deal. So currently it is like 3:15 in the morning in California, so we didn't get arrested and we made it here. But jet lag is no joke. Sometimes I have went on a journey about this long and not had jet lag at all, and then ended up getting there and everything worked out with sleep and stuff, but this time is not the case. So when I got home, which was about 6 something, the day that we actually got to America, I went to sleep like right away. So then I woke up at 2 o'clock in the morning and started unpacking my stuff. And then I stayed up all day yesterday until like 6:37, and then went to sleep, and now I woke up at like midnight. So yeah, that's where I'm at right now. But excuse me, we are having to, you know, handle everything that you have to handle when you move to a new place, especially like school for safari. I have currently, which I'm filming on, an iPhone 7, and it is just too slow for me to do DoorDash because I was having issues with it when I was doing DoorDash last time in Ohio. So I had to get a new phone. I actually got an iPhone SE, and it was on special, so it only ended up being $215 at T-Mobile, which was awesome. So that's good. But yeah, so this video is about our journey and how we could have gotten arrested, but we didn't. So let's start with the whole corruption and government issues in Kenya. I'm not going to go all into that in this video because I'm going to do a separate video on those things and how that has deterred us from wanting to live in Kenya long term. So I'll just briefly touch on how it relates to this topic, which is that we have been attempting to get my dependent pass for over 5 months now, since right after we got married, and that has not been successful. And the person that's supposed to help us with that didn't. And he would tell us things like, when we moved from the coast to Nairobi, he was like, oh, I already had like your appointment scheduled in Mombasa for your biometrics and stuff, which wasn't the case at all, because we ended up finding out recently that after we started really pushing him, because I was leaving the country and we needed this dependent pass done, that he never even filed the dependent pass until a week before I left Kenya. So him telling me like, oh yeah, you don't need to get extensions for your visa because you're getting the dependent pass, it's fine, turned out to be not the case at all. So I renewed the visa stay. So the first initial visa stay in Kenya for an American is 3 months, and then I renewed that for another 2 months. So I was legally in Kenya for 5 months, but we were in Kenya for 9 months. So we were illegally in Kenya for 4 months of the time that we were there, and me not even questioning it, because I'm supposed to be trusting this guy that's supposed to be helping us, right? So then he sends me to Nyayo House, which is where you get all this paperwork, government stuff done, and he has me go have a meeting with one of the people that's supposedly helping us, right? And the guy is like, yeah, well, it's a process and blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, okay, I understand that it's a process, but it is a process that I have been actively pursuing for over 5 months now, you know? And I like went off on this dude. Like, I was telling him like, I love this country because this is where my daughter and my husband are from, but you're making me, and the government situation and this corruption is making me not want to live here at all. It's making me want to take my daughter and my husband away from this country and not have anything to do with it. And you're going to be doing that to multiple people, you know? So that's not good for your country, to not have any foreigners want to come here. And he was, he didn't like flash or anything, but he was very like smug and like rude, but in like a nice way. I don't know if that makes sense. And he was like talking about like, I don't know, we ended up talking about like the fact that I was overstaying my welcome in Kenya. And he was like, oh, well, you need to get that sorted out because you could actually get arrested when you go to like try to leave at the airport if you have overstayed like the stamp on your visa. And I was like, okay, so what am I supposed to do with that, right? Like, first, we're talking about my dependent pass and me wanting to come back to Kenya. So I wanted the dependent pass done. Now we're talking about I want to leave Kenya. How can I do that without getting arrested? And he's like, well, you need to go to this office and talk to these people and blah, blah, blah. And I was just over it. So I was done talking to that dude, and I went to go meet back up with Shaha and the girls, and I just started bawling, crying so much. And like partly because I'm pregnant and partly because I never wanted to go to Kenya. Before I met Shaha, I never wanted to go to Kenya. I actually, like, when we first met on Facebook, I told him, I was like, oh, that's cool, you're from Kenya. We could be friends, but I'm not going to Kenya, so we could just be friends. And then when we fell in love, then I was like, well, I'm not going there for the country. I'm going there for him because I love him, right? And the reason why I didn't want to go to Kenya is because I watched a documentary on this girl from Britain, somewhere in Europe, and she went to Kenya and she was conned so many times out of all of her money. She fell in love with a guy that truly loved her. She got pregnant. She didn't have money to have the baby, so she had to have the baby in a local hospital, and she just went through hell. She ended up getting arrested and going to prison for something because someone was jealous of her success because she started a business there. It was just so much stuff that like I felt like I could now relate to, like I didn't go to prison, thank God, but I was threatened that I could be sent to prison, and it was just like relating too much to this story that caused me to not want to go to Kenya at all, and then like these things happen and I'm just like, this is why I didn't want to go to Kenya in the first place. So I was explaining that to Shaha and like how like terrified I was that like if I get taken away to prison in Kenya, then what happens to Safari if we're at the airport, just us two? Like so much stuff going through my head. So we pushed this guy and pushed this guy, the guy that's supposed to be helping us this whole time. And finally, he gets me a letter that is like a 2-week exit approval or something. And so like it says that within the next 2 weeks from when this letter is dated, you are able to leave the country with no issues or go to Inyayo House and figure out a visa situation so you could stay there longer. So I got that done, and then I also printed out the status of my dependent pass being received but not approved, so that they could look at that and see I'm trying here, like I'm not just here illegally for the fun of it, So I printed those things, and then we go to the airport, right? And everybody's a little on edge, me and Shaha mainly, and Safari too, because I told her the situation. And so she's like, when could they arrest us? Like, are they going to arrest me too? Like, what's going to, she's like all nervous. And so we get to the airport, we're taking our luggage, and we like have our luggage like weighed, right? And I was really nervous in this situation because one of our luggage, like I have a luggage scale, and it was like a little bit over, maybe 1 kilogram over. And so I was like, oh my gosh, like I hope they don't like charge me or whatever. Then on my tickets, like when I bought them from Expedia, it said 2 check luggage each. And then when I got there, like there was a sign that said like economy 1 checked luggage. And I was like, oh my gosh, like are they gonna like make me pay for this? So then I'm like in line researching like, okay, how much does it cost for an extra bag? $300 per flight. Like, so we had like 2 different separate flights. So it would have been $600 to take the collapsible table that we have, which was our like third luggage, to America. So I would have had to leave it there because it's not worth $600. And so like I was super nervous about that. So we get up there and I'm being extra nice to all the airport people, right? And so like she weighs both of our luggage. One of them was like 23, because it's 23 kilograms is the max, and it was like 23.6. So she didn't say anything about that. Okay, so then she weighs Safari's like check luggage. It was way under, and then I was like, we each get 2 check luggage, right? And she was like, yeah. And so she puts like the table on there, and it's not a lot of weight at all, and so that one was fine. And then like I knew that my backpack was overweight, and so I was just like nervous because I saw her like weighing other people's like carry-on bag. And so then she's like, any carry-ons? And I was like, yeah. And so she like puts it on the scale, and it's only supposed to be 8 kilograms, and it was like 9.6 or something. And so like I didn't like do anything or say anything, and then she just puts a tag on it and then lets us go. And I was like, okay, that's one step that we've completed successfully. So then we go from there to the person that could raise the alarm and actually get us into the arresting situation, right? Which is the people that check the stamp in your passport and then stamp the exit stamp on your passport after they make sure everything's all kosher, right? And so we go up to this counter, and it's 2 ladies that are sitting in this like little booth, and they seemed to be very nonchalant about their jobs and didn't seem to care much, right? So I was like extra nice. And then also one of my friends told me that it helps that like I was like a single mom with a child, you know, like that type of like dynamic is not really something that they're like taught to be super skeptical of. So that kind of helps my situation. And so like one of the ladies took Safari's passport, one of the ladies took my passport, and then like the good thing about this situation was that the stamp in our passports for the day that we entered Kenya is very unreadable. Like they use the stamp, and then on the line that's on the stamp they put like the date that you entered, and both the stamp and the written like date were very illegible. Not anything that I did, it was just like their ink and their writing was very illegible. So that helped us a lot because these women didn't seem to care much about their jobs. And so then like they're looking at our passport like not being able to like read what like the date was that we entered, and they're just like, and they just let us go. And I was just like, okay, that was the biggest hurdle. So then we like have to go to our gate or whatever, and everything was like really smooth in Kenya. Like after we went through those women who like gave us the exit stamp, everything was good. So then we go from Kenya. Now we know we're not going to be arrested. So now we can like breathe a little bit. And when we're there like sitting and waiting for our airplane, like I told Safari, I was like, those 2 ladies that like took our passports, those were the ladies that could have gotten us arrested. And she was like, oh, it's so good that we got through that. So then we had a layover, and our flight was actually delayed by like 40 minutes. Not a big deal. And I guess like the pilots just decided they were going to go faster in the airplane. So we ended up getting there only 5 minutes like later than we would have if we went like at the time that it was supposed to be. So that was good. And so then we get to Germany. Oh my goodness. Germany is the most intense airport that I've ever been to in my life. Like it literally took us over an hour and a half to go from getting off the plane into the airport to getting to our gate. And I'm not saying that because we got lost. We didn't get lost. I'm saying that because of how ridiculous it was getting there. So first we had to go through like the security line for them to like recheck our bags. Fine. And that took a little while, maybe like 30 minutes. Then we're looking for gate Z, right? And so there's just sign after sign after sign. Gate Z, gate Z, gate Z, gate C. And you're just like following these signs, and it was just forever. Then it sends you down to like the lowest floor or whatever, and then you're waiting there for a bus to continue this journey to gate C. So then you get on the bus, and then you get off the bus, and then you continue your journey to gate Z. And it was just like never ending. And so like we were very lucky that we had like 4 hours between our flights or whatever, so we could make sure that we got there. You know, I was actually going to go to a different area to try to find like food, and I was like, you know what, like let's just get to our gate and then see what's near our gate, because like I want to make sure that we get there as soon as possible so we can figure this out. Good thing we did, because that was longer than I could have possibly imagined. So we were there like chilling for like 2.5 hours. We got a German pretzel with some mustard so that we could say we did that. And then we get on the plane, and that plane actually was delayed by like only 40 minutes too, so definitely no big deal. And so that plane ride, the first plane ride was 8-ish hours. The second plane ride was 11 hours. But we actually enjoyed the second plane ride a lot more. I think it's just because it was longer, so we prepared ourselves for it being longer. That's how I felt anyways. So I was like, okay, like what am I gonna do? I was more awake in that flight, so I was like, what am I gonna do? Okay, I'm just gonna watch movie after movie after movie. Like after every movie, we'll like go to the bathroom and then come back and watch another movie. Safari slept more than I did on that flight, but it ended up being very good. So then after that flight, Safari ate all of our meals. So you know how you get like one like major meal, especially on a long flight, you get one major meal and then you get like one like smaller-ish meal. So all of the major meals she ate. The second one was pumpkin raviolis. She ate both of ours. The first one was vegetable pasta. She ate both of ours. So she's definitely getting less picky, that's for sure. But yeah, so we just kind of like shared, like I took her like bread and she took like my pasta. So it worked out. But yeah, so then when we get off of the plane and we're finally in America, right? So we get our luggage, which took a little while, but we have global entry, so that took no time at all. So all these people that are coming into the country, whether they're foreigners or U.S. people, they're like waiting in line all over here. And we just go to this line that has no people in line. We give her our passports. She asked us if we like had any food from the country that we were coming from, and we said no. And she was like, okay, welcome back to the country. We're like, yes, we made it. So then we had to go from the airport and take BART, which is like the train, from the airport to Dublin Pleasanton, which is where my mom was going to pick us up. So we did that, which took like an hour and a half-ish, and then my mom picked us up, and now we are here. So yes, didn't get arrested. Very happy about that. Are we going to go back to Kenya? Yes, because we have to officially adopt Georgina so that she can be a part of our family, have a U.S. passport, all of that. But are we ever going to live in Kenya for a long-term situation? I hope not, because I don't see the corruption and all of that becoming any better anytime soon. So it's not an ideal situation for an international family. If you're such as Shaha's family, you know, like Shaha's mom and dad are both Kenyan. They live in the village. They wake up. His dad goes to work. His mom starts doing breakfast, and she does the dishes. She does the laundry, blah, blah, blah. That is their life, and they're very happy with their life, right? So they don't have to worry about this bullshit. They don't have to worry about getting a official paper saying that they're married. They don't have to worry about any of this stuff, right? But as an international family like me and Shaha, we have to worry about all this stuff. We have to worry about the level of corruption in a country and how that affects us living in that country. And it affects us significantly in Kenya, unfortunately. So I don't want to live there. And it's very unfortunate because I know I've made videos talking about why I would never move back to America and all of that, but it's just not worth being worried and concerned and waiting 5 months for someone to do anything on your application. It's just not worth it. So as we said in our previous video, when we were talking about separating, we are either going to move as a family to Mexico or move as a family to America. And I'm really leaning toward America just because it's a longer process, but I think it would be more beneficial for us in the long run, because then we would be able to come and go in America as we please. If we want to go to a different country, we could always come back here. We could work on Shaha's citizenship, so then eventually he could get a U.S. passport, and then we could be more unified in the sense of the visa requirements are the same in any country that we travel to. So that is the plan for our family, and that is the story of our journey from Kenya to America. Definitely intense, especially like going through the Kenya airport and not knowing like how people were going to react to our stamps and our visa and our overstay. But they didn't even ask for the 2-week approval to exit. They didn't ask for the dependent pass stuff. They didn't ask for nothing. They took our passport. Okay, cool. Give us an exit stamp, and that was it. So that just goes to show you that like you literally never know what is going to happen at the airport, regardless of if you do something wrong or you're doing everything right. You know, you never know when you're going to be stopped. My friend, who is also well, she's from Europe, and she is married to a Kenyan and they have kids, and she said that when they were going to Thailand recently, that she was like harassed at the airport, and they like tried to get her to like pay a bribe so that like she could pass, and like she kind of refused. She was just like, nope, like I have all my paperwork in order, like I know what I'm doing, you know. And then when her like husband approached and like they saw like all of the visa stamps in his passport, he's been to Thailand, he's been to America, he's been here, he's been there, they're like, oh, they know what they're doing. Okay, go ahead. You know, so you just have to like stand your ground, be very nice, because you never know like how the situation is going to play out. But yeah, I wanted to give you guys that story so that you can know how things went with us. Granted, everything's going to be different with everyone, but if you're worried about that, then you can get the 2-week approval to leave, and they're probably not going to ask for it. That's my experience. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know I took like a 2-day break off of YouTube, and that's because we were traveling and I wasn't worried too much about it. But we are going to be back with daily videos starting now. So I will see you guys in our next video. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Bye.